Okay, just before we get into some of the other stuff, I wanted to mention I have a link uh, on the site on the news page for the packet sending thing for Wayne using this board. I think Wayne has a link to some of the binaries, and I have the link to the source code if there's anything you want to change on that side. Otherwise, it will go and change data. I have to reboot, I think, to make the serial stream out, but it normally streams out data over here. This package here is running using Dart, and we have the pots, and I have digital inputs and all of that kind of stuff on it. Again, I think I need to reboot in order to, I think the serial port's kind of messed up there. Um, so this is again written over in Dart, but you can have all of that going. You notice I only have one cable going, and the reason I have one cable is because I'm telling the board to power up with a micro USB cable. Typically, when you do things like when you're going to use this same board when you do DSP with Joyce, and so you will hook up with a mini USB, which has power, and you're going to talk to this chip, which is the ST Link, which does all the debugging to this chip. And so that's normally the way you'd use it. If you are doing things, for instance, and you want it standalone, so you don't want that cable, it's already programmed, you can power it up with the micro USB. It's not there by standard, because if you are plugging this one in and it is connected to power up the device, and you're plugging this USB in and it's connected to power up the device, some designs don't like that, and you could fry some things. So they don't normally keep it all connected. And so if you aren't going to use the ST, you could use this one or you could use this one, but not plug both in at the same time. That's kind of like what we were doing when we were saying power up the Node MCU, but not the ESP32 together. Use one to power up, same kind of deal. So to power it up by itself, once it's programmed and you unplug the STM, if you want to go and use it, it is PA9 to 5 volts. That powers this up by itself. One line, PA9 to 5 volts. Okay. So if you just want to use it by itself, because you want to use it for a game controller and do all of that kind of stuff, that's how you do it. Okay. When you go to Joyce's class and you do DSP, you'll do a bunch of audio stuff, and then you can, for instance, put a bunch of effects in and use the USB as a USB speaker, for instance, and hook up headphones or whatever to here and put a bunch of effects in. And so if you don't want both cables, once you've done that, you just want to use it standalone. Once again, just PA9 to 5 volts and you're up and going. Okay, so that's what I wanted to show you with that. This, again, not a great demo over on here because I'll have to reboot the computer on here, but this is Google's Flutter, and it basically the cool thing about Flutter is there's the icons and things. It's kind of a C sort of, more closer maybe to Python in putting things together, but I compile this for Windows. I go over to my Linux machine. I compile it for Windows. It works for Windows. I'm using the serial interface, so over on Android. But typically, if I'm just making an app or what have you, I go and compile it for Android. If I have an Apple machine and get its Xcode development environment, I can take my same source code and hit compile and build and bring it up in Apple as well. So it's cross-platform. It's kind of like where Xamarin or .NET MAUI is going when they get there. Sort of. This has its own rendering to the screen, and they build things natively. So each thing, if I'm in a Linux machine, it's native to Linux. If I'm in a Android phone, it's native to the Android phone. So it's an interesting development tool. I will show you some of Flutter stuff next term. But anyway, yep.
Does it only do stuff to OSs, or can you like build for specific devices?
I have the same. I built a calculator app, and I have the calculator app, for instance, running in a web browser, running on Windows as a standalone Windows, running on Linux, running in my Android phone. I have done it on an Apple emulator. Looks the same through all of it. You can tailor Apple to look more Apple. It has the Cupertino effects as opposed to the material design. And I also have just prodded over and run it on a Raspberry Pi. And so it will go across all of them. Depending on the libraries, for instance, serial port libraries, depending on the ones you pick, it will say, oh, this works for Windows, Linux, and Mac. And then so you might need to find a different library if you need to use something else. So it depends. Most of them are kind of across the board on it. So it's interesting because you write it once, mostly the idea is, and then run it across different platforms. I will have you guys do a couple of small apps and next term, so you'll get to play with it anyway. Okay, let's have a look at last time we were talking about doing this week's lab and kind of the things that were needed. And so here is, I have Tech 217, so that's just my office. And there is an SX1276, so that's the little chip that's on your ESP32, attached to what's known as a blue pill board, which is just a little STM board. So it's the kind of like the board you have, except it's a smaller one of these. It's about 80 megahertz, not 168 megahertz, and the less I/O. Blue pill boards are bought from China because they're little blue boards and they're like $2 or $3, and so you can just pop one of those into something. There are newer ones that have this family of chip called black pill. ST products are very hard to get right now. There might be some counterfeits around. There are automobiles not being made because they're in, high demand. So right now, if you look around, you may still get that kind of stuff, depending on the chips. I've seen some chips go for as high as $80 that normally would be $6 and things because people are not manufacturing stuff, especially the F2 series. We have an F4. But anyway, I wanted to show kind of this. And again, this is the STM32 Cube monitor program. So what it does for us is it gives us the ST microelectronics. So all of this is going about talking about ST. They put all of this kind of thing in, and that was that basic flow we looked at before. We're start acquisition. It uses the debug channels on the F4, and we just point it to the executable file, and then we extract our variables, and that's what we did. And we just had a basic chart, and I said, okay, well, we're going to use that. So this, if you went and installed Node-RED, you wouldn't see these first parts, the blue there. That's what ST put in for their products. The other thing that you wouldn't see is anything down here with the dashboard. The dashboard you can install, but by default they don't install it because do you want to do this, or do you we could just have it to be a an MQTT server or something like that, and so you don't necessarily need it. If you're going to stick things like that in, you would just go and do the package manager to go and put things in. Let me just see, that's not it. Where's my package manager? Oh, I'm over on. So here's some of the different things that are, I've got the Node-RED dashboard on, Node-RED serial port, and some different things that are installed. I want to start by, I had this 217 there, but I'm just going to hit this plus over here and make another flow. And if I go over to the info here, I'm just going to turn off the TB217 just so it's not running right now. And we'll do this flow. If I double click on it, I can call that TTN or something like that. So there's my things network flow is the one I'm going to use. And then if I go to, let's see, I'm looking for MQTT. Where is I should have it in here somewhere. Oh, MQTT in and out. So we'll just drag one of those over there. And then anytime I do something like this, you want to find out what's going on, find out what you're really seeing. And so I want to grab a debug. So a debug is just kind of going to be able to, of course, I'm not good with my mouse here. Come on. Okay, and so we're just going to put that together, and I double click, and see it's got a little triangle, and it says, I'm not properly set up, so I've got to go and get things set up. So if I look at that, I go, okay, the things network. I click on that, and it says, okay, what do you want to set up? And so the thing I want to set up is I pointed to the North America server. That was where I was connecting everything up. And so it wants that kind of information. And so let me just go things network. I wonder if my. Okay, so I'm going to set up this application here. So I had that all set up. So let me just go there and see if I've got general settings. Let me go to devices. Review. See where my NAM1 is just now. It is in the settings. Let's go to end devices. There. So over in end devices, network settings, server address. So Heltec, so it's my end device that I set up. I called it Heltec LoRa. You're going to call it with your name, and then general settings, and it will give us that and a bunch of other information here. And so if I go to here, so I just copied and pasted that. Its standard port is 1883. And then we go over to security, and it says, hey, username and password. So I want to go back over to that website here. And if we looked at our integrations and we looked at MQTT, the whole thing is there as well with the port number. And so here's the name. And so I just go, okay, I'm going to copy that over. So that's your name for setting it up. And we'll go there. And so there it is. And then your password is over here. And it'll probably say, if you haven't done it, it'll say generate a new API key. I've already done that. And so it will, but when you generate it, it will bring up a little box and it'll say, when you're done copying this somewhere, let me know, because I'm not going to show it to you again. I'm just going to have an abbreviated version of it. And so you go to, we'll go to API keys. And so I set up, and again, this is an abbreviated version. I have to have the full one there. And by default, it says grant all current and future rights, and that's fine for what you're doing right now. And so it'll just give it permissions with that name and that password and your key to be able to go and do whatever you want on your Things Network site regarding that application. I may want to make it more secure and say, in each end device that's in each pizza truck for my pizza delivery, all I want the device to be able to do is read and write information. I don't want it to be able to touch the application or do anything. So you can pair the rights to say, even if this somehow got compromised, and again, it's AES encrypted going up, but even if it did, I don't want it to be able to take down the whole application and stop all the pizza trucks and things. So you can scale the rights, and that's associated with that key. And so Then I will just go back over to there. So I already have those kind of set up. So you can put in your username and put in the password for the key associated with the things that you want to happen. And I have that over in there. And so I'm going to just kind of leave that there. And hopefully, if it did all of that, so what didn't it like about that? Oh, topic. To start off with, the topic, see, it's got a little triangle. It's still saying I haven't done something yet. And so to begin with, we knew that the hashtag was just say in a topic, bring us in anything. And so I'm wanting it to do that. And so I'll do that. And so now it's all happy, and there's my hashtag for that. So then I could go and deploy that. And then I'm going to just go over to my debug, and let's just go clear. And hopefully my device, you need to check on your Things network and make sure your device is sending stuff to you in order to make some of this kind of work. I hope. Over on here, if I'm looking at end devices and I'm looking here and I look at live data, and then I should start to see different data showing up there. And hopefully I'm seeing something here. And so there's a whole bunch of stuff. And this says over here, it says V3 ESP8266 temperature sensors at TTN devices EUI 00000 4, for instance, up. And so it's showing me this guy. Oh, it's actually showing me, I've got the key for the device in my office, not the other device, but there you go. So, so this is coming in. And so instead of saying just everything, if I have associated with this application, this end device, I could have all the pizza trucks have their own end devices. Now, if I put hashtag, it's all coming in here. I could put another one of these in and stick it here, and another one and stick it here for each pizza truck. And this is the topic right here, this top thing coming in. And so if I go Control C, and let's go back over here, and instead of that being the topic, I'm going to go Control V. So that's that top line. So V3, it's the TTN network V3 ESP temperature sensors at TTN devices EU. So here is the topic, this top line. And then it says message payload is a string of 1,453 bytes of information, for instance. And so that would be the thing to bring in. So if I do that and I go done, and that kind of messes it up, let's just move that down, and I go deploy. So the little blue bubbles go away. So I should still be able to grab the information here and make something come in. So I could have another MQTT input here, and again, put hashtag to be able to grab anything in. And when you see the other one come in, then you say, hey, I want to just do things with that one. And so this is how we can put things in individual streams. So there, so I'm still getting it in, but now my topic is this here before the colon. So I can go and look at it. Now, from there, then I can go and grab this and do something else with it. And so, let's say we want to put something on a dashboard. And so, well, for one thing, here we have, this is a string of 1,451 things. So then what I want to do is I want to go and look at, see, those are all the dashboard things. I want to convert my string into JavaScript object notation. Okay, and so that's this JSON input. And so what I will do is I'll grab this and I'll put that down here. And again, I don't really know what I want to do with it, but I do want to have a look at the debug. And so what we'll do is I'll go here and I will just put that together. Okay, and then so I'm just going to go deploy again, and let's just clear it and see what we get by just doing that. Oh, a whole bunch of stuff. I didn't even get a sip of my coffee. Okay, so this is the string that came in, and this is this other payload. And so one of the things that you can do is you can say, I've got things in, but it's got this nice little thing where it says, hey, you know what? Don't look at this one anymore. So it's still there, but you just turn that little thing off, and then it's got a blue, so it says I need to deploy it again. And so this is kind of nice to look at though, because this is saying, okay, here's a message payload, and it's a string of 1,451 things. So it's all in one, all of this kind of stuff. And over here, it's saying, hey, it's now not a string, it's an object. It's a JavaScript object. And so if I go and highlight this, for instance, you can go and have a look and say, oh, it's got an end device and it's got an array and there's an uplink message. So I'll highlight that. And it's got this uplink message. And then it says, hey, there's a session key. And then there's a payload. And then there's a decoded payload. And if I go look at the decoded payload, this has luminosity, relative humidity, and temperature. I used the LPP protocol to upload that. So we talked about that on the other end. You do LPP, add temperature, add whatever, and LPP is a published set of, hey, what's the code for temperature or blood pressure or what have you. So I added it up. This knows the LPP protocol because we said, hey, in the TTN network, we said it was going to send data in LPP. So we didn't have to send the words temperature. We sent a like 6700 or something like that. And so now we have this. But the fact that it's now an object means that I can go and look at this and say, hey, I have decoded luminosity, relative humidity, and temperature. Well, really what I'd like to do is I want to just see what the temperature is. And so to go see what the temperature is, I have gone down here over to temperature, and if you highlight over to the right, it says copy path, copy value, and there's just a pin open so that when you're scrolling by, you'll just see that part of it, but I just want to copy the path. Okay, and then in order to do that again, I'm going to go and take another debug, and I'm going to put that there. And let's open the debug, and the debug says, hey, there's the message payload, but really what I want it to be is not that. I want it to be the path. And so if I look at this, it says payload.uplink.message.decoded payload.temperature, temperature 1. So that's whatever it was called over in that upload. So then when I go done, and again, we'll go deploy. Let's just clear everything out. Now, the thing with Node-RED and being JavaScript, there are some function blocks. And in fact, you can drag in a function block and you can write JavaScript code and make the function block do whatever you want. But there's a lot of drag and drop stuff that we can do without having to do that. So again, I had turned this one on. And so this one here was allowing me to see this whole object come in. And again, I can scroll through and we'll look at the uplink message, and then we'll have a look at the decoded payload, and it says that the temperature is 19.9, but when I grabbed the whole path, it gave me 19.9, and so we decoded it out of it. And so then what we can do is we can say, well, really what I want to do is I want to put that on some kind of dashboard. And so let's have a look, and we'll have, for instance, well, we could just put text, I guess. I guess we could put text. So we'll put a text one, and maybe we'll put a gauge as well, for instance. And so I'll go from there to there, and maybe I'll go from there to there. And I should make them neater. There's also for labeling, there are different. There are. I wonder if they have comments. So you can add comments and put it in your code as well. And so now these both have triangles in it. So let's have a look, and it goes text, and it goes, okay, do you want it to be the home group? And I already have a home group, and I have a LoRa group, and I'm going to add a new UI group, and I'm going to say, okay, the name is going to be, I'll say TTN, for instance, and it's going to be on this, on the home, and maybe, I don't know, on the UI tab. No, we'll just leave it on the home. And then width, standard width, we'll just leave all of that kind of stuff alone. Now, the message payload, it's in a couple of squiggly brackets because it's not going to just print out message payload. It's actually going to be decoding the thing. And again, I'm going to just go Control V for that thing that I'd done. And you get to pick however you want the thing to look. And so we'll do that. And then over on the gauge, I'll do the same kind of thing. Except do I have one there? The home is going to be TTN. The gauge type we'll just say is gauge. And again, we're going to go and say value, and I'm going to go Control V where I had it. Now, my temperature is probably going to be, I don't know, it might be from -10 to plus, let's say plus 50. I don't know. And then we can go done with that. Let's go deploy. And it says successfully deployed. And so let's go over to our dashboard, and there is our gauge. Now again, in the gauge, you can go and change what, for instance, it says between -10 and 50, it says units. I shouldn't say units, I probably should say C. Maybe instead of saying gauge, I should say, temperature, or I might say the room name or something like that when it shows up as well. So you can do those kind of things. You can also change the themes of it and that kind of stuff. And so let's just see where we are. Oh, there's one came in. It says 20. There's 20, and there's text is 20. And so let's go over. Let's go. Configuration notes. So we've got those all on. Let's go. And from here, we can kind of look at, this is also a place, I turned on and off the debug, and maybe I don't want this necessarily anymore. You can also highlight them over here. This is showing you all the different things that are available under Node-RED. My subflows. Okay. Objects. I'm looking around for something that's, I don't see it. Okay. Over on here, we have export or import. So this is a nice thing here, and I want to keep it and be able to use it or be able to store it or to be able to share it. And so let's just go export for a sec. And then so I'll go export, and it says, hey, what do you want? So I want, the TTN, and I'm going to copy it to the clipboard, and let's just go, I don't know, WordPad. Control V. And so here is all of that code. So if I save that to WordPad, for instance, and then I open up another, bring this over, and I go File, Import, and point to that JSON package, it will make all of these, make all the connections, put all the back end in. It's your program. Okay, but if I just do a graphical picture, that's really nice, but I would have a hard time seeing what's in it. You double click and go inside. If you export or import, it will save it all. So if I go and make another flow, and then I go file, and then I go import, and then I go Control V, then I go import, are already in. So, okay, it's saying that, so view nodes. So it's saying, hey, it already knows I've done that whole thing here. Why am I doing it again? So it's objecting. But that's how you bring it in, just as easy as that. And then Some of the other things here is manage palette. And if I go to manage palette, this is where you install, for instance, if you're at the standard node red, it wouldn't have dashboard. This is where you go and install the node red dashboard, this thing right here. They've already done it. ST has already installed it for you. If you were to do this by yourself and you said, I need MQT key, I need something to do with maybe connecting up USB. Maybe there's Bluetooth packages. You want to connect up Bluetooth. You go and search BLE, for instance. BLE, there will be some BLE, Node-RED Central BLE, BLE heart rate monitor, BLE scanner. In Node-RED, you could put this BLE interface in. I know you guys are doing stuff or potentially doing stuff with Wayne with BLE or something, or did he talk to you about it or show you anything with Bluetooth? No? Never mind, I said nothing. But there's a scanner that's available to do any of those kind of things. Okay, so tons and tons of packages available, and that's where you'd get it and add it in. And so then there's also, if I can find it, there is, no, it's in the dashboard. Where's my dashboard? Go look over the dashboard. And if you go look over at the dashboard, some of the things you can say is, oh, I like a dark theme, or you can have custom themes or whatever. And so if I go deploy and then I go over to my dashboard, now it's a nice dark theme. Okay. One of the other things maybe to say is, what I'd really like to do is, let's try this. Let's go and put can I have a chart? Let's go and put a chart. A chart's kind of got a weird little thing. And again, we're going from this JSON that we're picking, and it will be difficult. We'll go to the chart, and it's again on the home, and then there's nothing else really to put in. Y-axis, all of that. You can again name the chart and all of that kind of thing. And let's go deploy. We'll go over to our debug again, and let's just clear it and see when we got new data. And let's have a look at what the dashboard is showing me. And there is a chart there, but it didn't update the chart. So one of the things with this is there was no place here for me to specifically say, like here, for instance, I said payload uplink.message. Like I specified the sub part of this. And so I couldn't do that in chart. A chart was just that payload. So it's giving me the whole bit. And so I can't really take it apart. And so this is expecting just a number, but I wasn't able to put in where the path of that number was. It's expecting payload. Okay, but it's expecting payload to just have what you want. And so there is something here called should be called change. Let's see, change. Okay, so I'm going to do that, and I'm just going to delete this guy there, and I'm going to grab this over to there, and I'm going to grab this and there, and really it should be neater than what I'm making it all look like. And the problem we said, and I'm going to say, I don't know, we'll say to chart or something, to chart. I don't know, you don't just leave the names, but I need to change message.payload, and I need to change it to message. I need to, oops, not that one. Control Z. Let me go get it again. Let me go to gauge. And Control C. And let me go back in there and go there. Done. Deploy. Okay. And so the thing is that I couldn't give an end description of where the chart was. So then I have to go and decode it. And so now that it knows what exactly you want on just a number, not the whole big part of the payload, it will start to graph what you have in there. And so, using this, I mean, we did it way back in Lab 5 when we just did the example. We didn't touch it, but there's a whole end of it. It's all installed for you, all the things that you need in that STM32 monitor. If you go and put it on something else, again, you're going to have to probably bring in, you might have to bring in the MQTT. You would for sure have to bring in your dashboard. It's just over in that manage palettes and grabbing the right thing and sticking it in. And then you just deploy what you want. Again, I just went over and turned off. You can have multiple things running, multiple flows running at one time. I turned off all the other ones, so we're just looking at this one thing here. Okay, so we will leave it there. We'll see you in lab. One of the things I wanted to talk about too, we have the last test is on next week during the lab time. It's covering everything from basically past the ARM kind of stuff. So when we started looking at the Node MCU, some of the AT commands going up to the packet sender, all of that, I will give you a more detailed, here's the specific kind of questions that we're going to get on Friday. We'll just go over that, and then it's open book, it's open lab, everything, but I'll kind of hone in on the types of questions I would ask you through the different labs. We'll do that on Friday. Okay, thanks.